What's going on, everybody? This is Mattdoesfitness, and I just took the shell off my racing snail, hoping it will become faster. If anything, it's just made it more sluggish. Hello, welcome to another video, and today I'm doing technically a review. Now, I don't do specific reviews very often, but when I find something that I think is really effective and really could potentially be important, I like to do them. Now, before I do the review, I'm going to give you a little bit of a background. As a powerlifter, like a weightlifter, plates are obviously very important. They're essential. Like, that obviously determines how much weight you're lifting. It determines whether you're lifting, the amount of weight that you think you're lifting, depending on the quality of the plates. And just generally speaking, without plates, you couldn't lift any weight. So with that in mind, I've been speaking to a company and they've agreed to send me some new plates. Now, I know what you're thinking, those plates are incredible. Well, you're not wrong, my friend. I've got the kind of smaller, flat white plate. I've got the kind of ceramic vintage blue, kind of baby blue with it's got a deliberate chip there just for obviously authenticity. I've got the smooth round one, that's called the white baby, and then I've got the kind of indented one, which is just, it kind of serves all purposes really. Jokes! Obviously I'm not talking about those plates, I'm talking about weightlifting plates, and more specifically fractional plates. Now, the Strength Shop, which are a company I've used, they've sent me all kinds of stuff in the past. I used my my singlet for powerlifting was from them, my belt was from them, my deadlifting socks, all kinds of stuff. They're a very good company. The link to them will be in the description. In terms of powerlifting apparel and gear, they generally have just much cheaper versions of popular stuff, but it's equally good quality and basically does the job. Now, they sent me some fractional plates, which I'm very excited about. I'm going to give you a little look at them now. I've got all kinds of varieties. So they've got the kind of steel ones, they've got cast iron ones, they've got painted steel ones, and they've got the kind of the high-end one, which is like the rubber ones. Now, they've got different weights, so you've got like right down to 0.125 kilograms, you've got 0.25 kilograms, you've got half a kilogram, basically there's numerous options from the minuscule ones up to what is approaching you the weights you'd normally get in the gym. But if you go on the link, go on the website, you'll see all of the options on there. Just put in fractional plates, there's loads on there, and they're very good. Now, I'm going to explain why I think they're good. So, I'd say there's two kind of main reasons, and one of them is probably more significant than the other. The first one being, it allows you to progress more steadily. Now, I'm a big fan of linear progression. When I say that, I mean, doing a session, next session lifting more weight, next session lifting more weight, and over time, just increasing the weight, and obviously increasing your personal best, your PRs. The problem with that is obviously, as a beginner, it works really well. When you get into the intermediate and beyond stage, it's hard just to continue that steady progression. You'll find that you plateau at times. And the beauty of using those fractional plates is that you can obviously progress at a slower rate, a more realistic rate. When you first start lifting, you can make massive jumps, for a long period of time. When you've been lifting for a couple of years or and beyond that, it's no longer possible to do that. So by having those fractional plates right down to those minuscule ones, you're still making progression. You still have that. For me personally, I find it really hard to go into a gym and lift the same weight I've done loads of times in the past. I don't have the same motivation. So if you're lifting more weight, it is more exciting. It's going to help both mentally and obviously physiologically because you've got that added stimulus. So that is obviously a big plus. Now, in many gyms, the smallest increment it gives you is a 1.25 kilogram increment, or whatever that is in pounds. So if I go into the gym and I can bench press 100 kilograms and I want to increase it next week, I have to go up to 102.5, which in some cases is going to be too big a jump. With those fractional plates, I can stick a couple of 0.5s or 0.25s or whatever I want, and it means that I can progress but without failing reps all the time, which is an absolute result. And for me personally, it's going to help my training no end because it means that I can continue that linear progression, but like I said, at a more realistic rate, something that I can continue for a period of time without always failing reps, because that is the issue I have at the moment. particularly of my squat, where I'm trying to up the weight all the time. I'm missing reps, I'm not completing sessions, and that is obviously going to be detrimental in the long term. Now, that's the first and the main reason, and that for that alone, I'd recommend getting them, because obviously that's going to help big time in the long term. Now, the second reason is if you are a kind of a bit of an OCD weirdo like me, it's nice to lift nice round numbers. Now, obviously in the UK we use kilos. In America, you weirdos use pounds. Obviously, the conversions aren't always nice. They're not always whole numbers. So, for example, if I go and squat, or if I want to squat 500 pounds, in kilograms, it's something like 227.2 kilograms. So it's an irritating amount. So I might end up squatting like 496 pounds. And if I want to hit 500 pounds, I've got to put over that, I've got to end up squatting 503 pounds. So with those fractional plates, I can just round it off. Now, I've only been using them for a couple of weeks, but already in my bench press, it was quite handy, because I wanted to bench press 300, I was planning to do 167.5 kilograms, which converted as like 369 pounds. Now, how annoying is that? 369 pounds. So, without having to go up to 170 kilograms, which would have been too big a jump, I was able to go up to 168 kilograms by using those 0.5s on each side, and it meant that obviously I was lifting 370 pounds as opposed to 369. So it's far more satisfying if, like I said, you are a bit of a weirdo like me. And I have my suspicion, I think that a lot of people that train religiously are quite weird. So that's pretty much that, guys. I just thought I'd update you on how good the product is, because I know I've seen them elsewhere, but they tend to be more expensive. And obviously for what they are, there's no real need. You know, those ones are good quality. I've weighed all of them, and they all weigh in at what they should be weighing in, so they are obviously reliable in that respect. Yeah, obviously it's a good product, and like I said, for me personally, it's going to help my training from here on in. Particularly if you look at like a bench press where you can't make those big incremental jumps all the time, making those little more realistic jumps is going to be very, very helpful. So, hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, as always, and I will see you tomorrow.